word of mouth is not a plan. Referrals are great, but again, you need to have a system for that in place.
Right.
But just not having a plan, and they need to do that. So what I do is I have a whiteboard calendar. You get it from like Staples or Office Depot or something like that, and I just, with a dry erase pen, write it out. I'm going to do this promo this time, and again, as I said earlier, I look at holidays and stuff, and just kind of map it out. So not having a plan in place, and honestly, one of the biggest things is not having a coach.
Welcome to Barbell Business. I'm Mike Bledsoe here with Doug Larson and Marcus Gursey, and we traveled up to LA today to hang out with Josh Carter. He's an owner of the Fit Body Boot Camp, and if you don't know anything about Fit Body Boot Camp, there are 500 now. 500 franchises. You've been in the fitness market for 20 years.
20-something, yeah.
20-something years.
Yeah, it makes me feel old.
You're still alive. You're still doing it. A lot of people get in the fitness market and then get right back out a few years in.
My passion has been always fitness and has evolved over those 20 years, so it's definitely taken a course, which we can talk about, but yeah.
Yeah, and you handle a lot of the marketing for other Fit Body Boot Camp gyms.
Yep, I do.
So this is really cool because there being 500, you're obviously doing something right. You know how to get bodies in the door. So we're going to dig into that.
Great.
For sure. But first I want to hear about how did you get into the fitness business in the first place?
Well, I was a fat kid. That's kind of how it started. I can remember my life is punctuated by certain weight marks. So in third grade, I was 100 pounds. By eighth grade, I was 175. My freshman year in high school, I was 230. And freshman year of college, I was 270. Yeah, I was a big boy. And, I got called, big boned or husky or things like that.
They're being nice.
Were you like just fat during this time? Or were you like also like the offensive tackle, and so you got away with it a little bit?
It's funny that you say that because I got recruited for all the high school football and all that stuff, and I fucking hated it because those guys are really mean and serious.
Was it your speed?
I was like, man, that is not my exactly. So I was better at shot put and discus and some martial arts stuff coming up, but athletics was really not my thing. So I was, I'm taller. I've always been taller, and so I carried that weight. Well, I guess, but still, kind of chubby. And so anyway, in college, my girlfriend at the time bought me a membership to a gym, and I started going all the time and fell in love with it and figured out that while I was pursuing my degree in economics at UCLA, that was not actually where I wanted to be. So I still got the degree, but then went into personal training, started out in Santa Monica on the 3rd Street Promenade where there's still a gym, and at that point decided that I wanted to open my own place. Actually, before I opened my own place, I started a supplement company. Did that for a few years, sold that, and that allowed me to buy my first gym in North Hollywood.
Nice. Do you feel like at this point in your career, like it was easier to open gyms and to help with the marketing for gyms and recruiting people to get into gyms because you have that perspective of someone who like just didn't grow up as a natural athlete? You were overweight and you had to figure it out for yourself. Where some people, they were just always athletic and they were just always lean, and then they try to market fitness and it's tough because they don't get it.
So yeah, that's exactly right. So I have that perspective of someone who was fat, has struggled even in my adulthood, even since being in fitness, have gotten bigger than I would have liked on certain occasions and justified it through, I'm lifting heavy this cycle or some bullshit like that, and gotten kind of husky again. But at least I have that perspective. So primarily I like to help people lose weight and get in shape, which is, just a typical goal. But I have that perspective. We work with a lot of females, so I've never been female, which is good for everybody. But
still time.
I was trying to imagine you with longer hair and that wasn't working.
Well, I'm not even going to tell the stories. So anyway, I have that perspective of knowing the pain that is associated with being heavier than we like, looking in the mirror, not liking what we see, stepping on the scale, having pants not fit, going the drawstring route, all that shit. So that gives me some perspective that I can kind of sympathize with the people that come to me and are unsure and have anxiety and don't think they can do it and all that other stuff. So it gives me a unique perspective that, like you said, the natural athlete might not have, the guys that always been ripped and strong and quarterbacks and all that shit. So
Yeah, I mean, if you're helping out with the marketing and especially the copywriting,
Yeah.
like being able to put words on paper that empathize with someone's current situation and be able to motivate them without making them feel bad about themselves in the process, that's a tough, touchy thing
yeah,
to do.
there's because you do want to touch on fear points, right? And kind of twist that knife a little bit without making them feel like shit. Because then if they're like, oh, he's right, I'm terrible, well then they'll quit. So you need to touch it, aggravate it, and then turn it around and show some hope, and then bring them in and say, we have your solution.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been there.
What are some common ways to do that, to touch on it without being a dick?
It's tough, and that said, I've spent a good number of years trying to learn the craft of copywriting, especially for, like I said, we deal with a lot of women. I have no idea what women are thinking. You can just ask any woman that knows me. But what I do know is I know that, well, here's the first thing I would recommend people do, is know your audience. And that would mean poll your audience. So other than knowing them, ask them, what do you want? What are your goals? What is it, what do you want? And get them to tell you, and then use their words. And so when you use their words, you can better speak to them and do that. Now, that's all well and good, but I do a lot of Facebook advertising, and what are those, the circles, the Venn diagrams, right?
Right.
There's the words that I want to use, there's the words that Facebook allows, and then there's that little sliver in the middle, which is the words that you can, use on Facebook that still hold some weight. And so it's those type of words that we want to use, and generally it's words like fit and tight, and I know toned is not a thing that we like to say, but that's what women will say, and so then I'll use those and then educate them further when they come in.
Yeah, I think that's a great distinction, using the words that they're using.
You got to use their words.
There was, I came out of school with a degree in exercise science, and of course,
if you say hypertrophy, they're going to
yeah, well, and I don't want to say tone because, that's not right.
adipose tissue, and
But-
there's all those technical terms that they don't know.
Yeah, so it took me a long time to come to grips with. I don't have to completely go the way of the customer and
Right.
exactly the words they're using all the time, but I got to pull that into what we're saying,
Right.
or else we're going to lose them completely.
So, for instance, if you pull your audience, we just did a pretty big one where we got almost 2,000 responses, and so we went through and figured out what words are they using. So they use flatten my belly a lot. So in your copy, you're going to write flatten your belly, or muffin top. If they use the word muffin top, fine, use that. So whatever words they're using, use those words to speak to them.
And that would be a way of figuring out their insecurity specifically.
Exactly.
You're digging on insecurity, really.
Yeah.
You go, okay, all right, they feel insecure about their body in this way or that way, but the language that they're using, that's kind of the door to highlighting the insecurity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then obviously offer up the solution. I know that you're not happy with your belly or whatever, and then offer it up.
And so you guys actually polled your existing member base to get those responses. So someone who has an existing gym who's trying to put their marketing initiatives together, their ad copy and all that, you can poll your existing member base and even interview maybe a few of your key clients.
Exactly.
To say, what kind of words resonate with you, or
but you got to be careful because those people have already drank the Kool-Aid. So you have to say, remember when you first started? How did you feel about X? Or what was your goal when you first started? Or why didn't you come in 6 months before you actually did? What prevented you from coming in? Oh, I had anxiety. I didn't think I could afford it. I thought it'd be too intimidating. I was whatever. Find out what that is so that you can present the solution to that problem sometimes even before someone else realizes that is the problem. So you need to ask them to think back if they've already, if they're already indoctrinated, been with you, 6 months, a year, whatever, because they could have a different perspective now than they had when they started.
Sure.
Yeah, ideally, I would think you're polling them at many points along their point in the funnel. Like if someone comes in for the very first time, oh, how'd you hear about us? Document that. When they come in to sign their membership, like after you sell a membership, what really got you to choose our gym over the other gyms?
Yep.
Oh, document that. Like you don't have to just pick one point in time after they've been a member for 6 months and talk to them then. Like,
Right.
you can have different touch points along the way. That way, you're not getting someone a year after they drank the Kool-Aid to try to remember what they think they thought back then, because their memory of what they thought has probably changed.
It's never too soon to ask questions from them, and they will love helping you. They always, if you say, hey, can you help me out with something? Well, you're already helping them, so there's that reciprocity thing,
Right.
And so they're more than welcome and more than happy to help you out too.
So we touched on copywriting as one very specific part of marketing, but earlier we were talking about building comprehensive marketing plans for a gym. Like, what does a comprehensive marketing plan look like? Because a lot of people do marketing, but they don't have like an actual written down like comprehensive plan.
I like to have a plan, yet I like to be flexible because shit happens, right? So what I do is I plan 3 months out typically. And I'll give you an example of how I had to throw that out the window recently. But I typically plan 3 months out. I look at holidays, look at when the kids are in school, look at all that stuff. I have a fairly large Jewish population in my area and a Catholic population. So I need to look at the calendars. I don't want to promote like when the kids are out of school and the moms are stuck watching them at home because that's taking a backseat, right? So when the kids go back to school, that's when we hit them, say, hey, now that you got your time back and it's your own, now maybe you want to take a look at what we're doing. So I put that all together. A typical funnel for me, something I recommend is that we always need to be collecting email addresses. Always have an opt-in rolling on preferably Facebook right now. Instagram's coming along. Depending on your audience, it tends to skew a little bit younger. So if you're a box that's hitting women and men 25 to 35, it might work out just fine. My audience tends to be 35, 45, 49 top end. We got some older as well. So Facebook works a little bit better. Always collecting email addresses because Facebook controls so much that they could at any point turn off the funnel and say, you know what, no more fitness ads. Just like they did with dating, and there's some other things that they just don't allow. So collect the email addresses. One of the things about Facebook advertising, it does get our brand out there and makes, get us brand awareness, but it's tough to develop a relationship because there's so much competition. And I wish I could remember who said it, but they said when information is free, attention is very expensive.
Right.
And so there's so much shit out there. Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Netflix, Twitter, all those things that are taking people's attention elsewhere. And so when we want to grab it, it's tough. So Facebook is just another thing, and it's not like people go onto Facebook and say, "Jay, I'd like to look up some fitness stuff." No, it just happens to appear in their feed. It's interruption marketing, right? But when we get the email address, we can get more direct interaction, build that relationship, the know, like, trust, so that when we do go to promote, that front of mind awareness and that brand recognition, they go, "Oh yeah, he's the guy who sends me all that cool free stuff all the time. He's the guy I'm going to go with." That said, email's taking a dip. Text marketing's kind of coming up. It's so the rules are still being established, but we're playing with that a little bit as a method of marketing because you guys probably know emails can wait, but if a text comes up, you stop what you're doing and reply, right?
It's too tempting. The little bubble on your phone is just to scratch the itch.
Oh yeah, the open rates are ridiculous with text. It's like 98% versus the email. It's like 5%.
Yeah, 4%. And to that end, also Facebook Messenger ads are also doing quite well. There's a way to incorporate bots and stuff in that. Yeah. It's a little tricky at this point, but they're making it a little bit easier. But
how do you do that well? Because if I get a text and it's promotional, immediately I'm just like, God damn it, what the who's texting me? Like, it better be like spot on for me to look at it and feel good about it.
Yeah, so that's why the rules for text messaging are still being written. And so some people say, oh no, you don't mark it, you just say, hey, how you doing and stuff like that. And so I've played with it just a little over the past couple months, and it's a great way. What I've used more of actually is more for retention at this point. That doesn't mean I won't use it for promotion later. But when I bring clients in on an LBO, and that's a low barrier offer, we have 14, 21-day, 28-day promotions that we run, is I'll text him 2 to 3 times per week with something very simple, very conversational, which is something like, hey, how you doing? Wanted to make sure that you didn't have any questions. How's that workout? You still sore? And I'll use a texting app like I'm using Scipio. I know another one's ZipWhip, and there are probably some other ones out there too. And it allows you to send texts that seem like you're just sending it to them, even though you're doing a massive broadcast. But my advice then is, because I learned the hard way, once you send those, be ready to sit at that computer and reply, because the replies come in for like the next 30 minutes in a swarm, and you need to be ready to reply to those.
So if you text and then you wait 24 hours, you kind of missed your window.
Then you're a dick, because if you don't reply, then
people are trying to judge you on that.
Well, if you don't reply to text like that, you're gone. And one of my other rules for texting is just be the last one to reply. So even if they say, hey, thanks, hit them back with a thumbs up or something to let them know that you're actually there. I have people say, oh, this isn't really Josh. And they said, send me a picture. And I was literally on a plane. So I did the picture thing, send it to them. So, yep, here's me on a plane replying to your text. So.
So you said to always capture email address. So where in your funnel, how are you capturing it? Is it to actually like sign up to take advantage of like the free trial, or is it just to like get the the free content?
There's a couple things that we do, and one is just your typical opt-in where 7 at home workouts or top 5 Buster, whatever, just like a little mini ebook report that sends them to a landing page. I use ClickFunnels a lot, and then they sign up, and then they get on my main list, and we also have a little autoresponder that says, hey, you download this book, how about you try one of our 21-day LBOs? So I do that front end, and so I'm always running something like that. But even when I switch to running my LBO ads, which would be, like I said, we do 21 days. I've written some pretty successful 6-week transformation things that have done real well for us, actually real well. And on those, what we do is we have, when they land on the sales page, the first thing, the buttons, the form is not on the page itself. They hit it and the pop-up box comes up, and the first thing they're going to do is put in their email address. We're experimenting with putting name and phone on there too, seeing what happens to the response rate. But definitely the email address, because then that turns that whole sales page into an opt-in. Because even if they don't make it to the checkout page, which comes next, I've got their email address. I can tell who bought and who didn't. I can go back and say, hey, final chance, hit them back. And so I'm always building always building my email list.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, I guess, could you imagine doing this without all the automation? Because,
oh, God.
Because I think a large portion of the people who listen to this show are still running.
Doing it manually?
They're maybe running ads to their homepage.
Oh, God. Yeah, it's tough.
Or they have like one ad running to one landing page, or they have like 1 or 2 emails in their email sequence. I mean,
that sounds like a nightmare.
How long does it take to set something up, and why would you do it versus not do it?
I'm what they call, what's that word? Lazy. And so I want to do something once and not have to do it again. So I will write an autoresponder sequence. I'll create a page and a Facebook ad that I can recycle. There's one ad I created probably a year and a half ago, and at $10 a day, it still gets me reliably 7 to 10 emails per day, which is crazy because I did it a year and a half ago. And mind you, my market is relatively big, even though there's a lot of competition because I'm in LA. But I'm a big advocate of creating a system and making it work for you. And so that's going to depend largely on the tools that you choose to use. I use FitPro Newsletter. There are obviously other ones out there, MailChimp and Aweber and all those other ones that probably integrate very well as well. I happen to like FitPro. So that when somebody opts in, they get the autoresponder sequence and it loads them up. I'm hoping to figure out ways that we can then use the phone numbers and automate the text bots and the messenger bots. And it's clunky right now, but it's coming up. So create the systems that'll work for you so that you don't have to do it. See, the thing is, you want to automate it, but you want it to seem personal. So if it seems too clinical and it's coming from a trainer or a box owner or a boot camp owner, and it just sounds very like it's coming from a doctor or some sterile writing thing, no, it's got to be very conversational, like you're writing to a friend. I typically recommend my clients, my coaching clients that are all FitBody owners, write like they're writing to their friend, and when they're writing to their clients, just very conversational, very like an 8th grade, literally like an 8th grade level.
Yeah, a common objection is people fear that there's not going to be authentic, communication via a systematic approach like that.
Right.
What do you say to that?
That's why you need to make sure that everything you write sounds like it's coming, like you just typed it out on your iPhone or something like that.
Yeah. Almost short form.
Yeah, right. That is definitely the way to do it. And my bigger thought on that is that people say that the big box gyms are our competition. I would dispute that, but clients come in, I could go to 24 Hour Fitness or Crunch or Powerhouse or whatever for $9 a month or whatever it is. That's fine, but they can walk into that place, grab their towel, hop on the treadmill for 45 minutes and leave, and no one will have known they were there. So what I tell my coaching clients is know their names, know their spouse's names, know their kids' names, know what they do for a living, all that shit. So when they walk in, they feel known and appreciated because, again, we work a lot with women. And a lot of times these women have to shuttle the kids around, make dinner, just do all that shit, and they're unappreciated and unseen. And so when they come in, I want to make them feel seen and known and appreciated and loved, and we call it part of our fitness family. So that's the experience we like to deliver, and whether you're a CrossFit box owner or a personal training studio, you need to deliver that higher level of experience to justify your higher fees.
Yeah.
Because if they want cheap, they can go someplace else. But they want an experience and results and a family and accountability and support and motivation and all that shit that we deliver above and beyond what anybody else can, then come and see me.
Well, it's the fastest way to decommoditize yourself.
Yeah.
Right. If you don't base it around the relationship, it's going to be now price comparison and how many treadmills do you have versus how many dumbbells do you have. They can't compare
No.
But if it's about the authentic connection right out of the gate,
Yeah.
and you can connect with someone, it feels personal, you can get them in, make it about them, their why, meet them where they're at, you just beat the game. And from there on out, the trick with all the automations to kind of tie it together is you have to make those reflect that.
Yeah.
So whatever your style is, know your audience, know your style, and then make sure that you can fine tune and tweak your funnels and all that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, it all has to feel authentic and be around building or maintaining a relationship.
My feeling is that fitness in general is a very emotional purchase. It's not a logical one.
100%.
So we're not going to get a lot of people who say, oh, well, this is this much and I can lose this much weight. It's not. That's not it. It's not a fucking spreadsheet, right? It's a feeling inside. So we need to make them exactly, and we need to make them feel that. I like to say that people don't want to buy fitness from a brand. They want a person that they can trust that'll be with them, step by step, and be there to support them if they have questions at 2 a.m. or whatever. And that's the type of thing we want to deliver. So even though my Fit Body owners own a Fit Body, I say you need to equate your name with Fit Body. So hey, I'm Josh from Fit Body, or so every video I do, hey, it's Josh Carter, personal trainer, body transformation expert here at Carter Fitness and Fit Body Boot Camp in West Hills. So that it's all the same, so that people understand that I'm the guy.
Yep.
And I'll be there. And when you come into my place, you're going to see me, not some spokesmodel or some shit.
Yeah. I want to dig into common mistakes.
Sure.
I'm sure you walk into or work with other people that own Fit Body boot camps, and you basically walk in and go, okay, this is how you've been doing it, and this is exactly what needs to change.
Sure.
Let's take a break and then get into that.
Sure.
We bought into a gym that was declining, really, to be honest with you. It was the lights were on, classes were running, but that was about all that was going on. What I was struggling with most at the time was there were 1,000 things that needed to be done, and I didn't know where to start. We were struggling with kind of getting oriented and what are the most important things to be working on. So it was really helpful we needed someone to come in and help us put a plan together and figure out priorities.
We had so much low-hanging fruit to be able to fix the business, but we didn't know where to start or how to prioritize.
We had just started with the calls immediately. I felt listened to and I felt heard pretty quickly. Angelo really met us where we were at the time, and helped us, get rolling in the right direction. So it was productive very quickly. It was a really warm, caring relationship. Within the first call, we had tasks to do and things to get organized with over the next month. So it forced us to pretty quickly take action. I didn't want to show up at the next call and say that we hadn't done what we had said to do, or that we weren't getting things accomplished. So it really helped us figure out priorities quickly and get organized much more quickly than we would have done on our own.
We were able to get some processes put in place, and we were able to get the ball rolling that we didn't seem so overwhelmed.
We have doubled revenue, doubled membership, and that's been huge. I think we've also made some huge gains in our community and how things feel to our members, being able to offer the right kinds of things. This affected the business by, I believe, giving me and my business partners a lot more confidence in that we're working on the right kinds of things at the right time. We have found our own roles and our own lanes to be working in, so it just makes us much more productive overall. Well, I feel like for you, like you were the gym, so everything was on your shoulders, and I think it took you a little bit to unwind some of that you didn't realize you didn't have to do.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I got more freedom, more me time.
Yeah,
for sure.
Where we are now, what the future holds for our business is we're right about to open a brand new space that will double the size of our gym. We'll also elevate our brand. It's going to be a higher end CrossFit gym, which is pretty exciting. And we're working well as business partners together because we each know our own area and what we need to be doing. And not only do we know what we're doing, but we know where we're going. We have a 5-year plan, and so we know where we're headed, and it really helps keep momentum. It helps make decisions on a daily basis, and I think the future is super bright for us, and that's really exciting. If you're considering working with a Barbell business coach, do it. Like, the accountability is valuable, the planning is valuable. This can be a hard path, and you're going to make mistakes. I mean, we all make mistakes. We've made mistakes even working with a coach, but to have someone there who's done this before, who's been through it, who can help point you in the right direction and maybe help steer your learning, I think will help you grow in just bigger ways, play bigger with the business, with your goals, what you're really wanting in your life. So I absolutely recommend working with a barbell business coach.
All right, we're back with Josh Carter, and we want to roll into what are the common mistakes? You're working with a gym, you walk in, the things that just kind of jump out at you at first.
We're talking about the marketing?
Yeah, the marketing.
All right, yeah,
well,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, should we go down a different track?
No, let's do it.
Let's stick with the marketing.
Stick with the marketing.
Else we're going to be on here for 3 more hours.
Yeah. So one of the biggest things is that they simply just don't have a plan. I mean, they just kind of
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth. Yeah, that's
talking about?
that's word of mouth is not a plan. Referrals are great, but again, you need to have a system for that in place.
Right.
But just not having a plan, and they need to do that. So what I do is I have a whiteboard calendar. You get it from like Staples or Office Depot or something like that, and I just with a dry erase pen write it out. I'm going to do this promo this time, and again, as I said earlier, I look at holidays and stuff, and just kind of map it out. So not having a plan in place, and honestly, one of the biggest things is not having a coach. I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I still have a coach that I go to because it's way easier to diagnose somebody else's problems than your own. So when you're trying to figure out what's working or not working in your business, sometimes that's a real struggle because you just don't have the perspective that you should.
Even if it happens worse with people who think they know.
Yeah.
Because even if you know the right answer, yeah, like you're saying, seeing it, having that outside perspective is
what's funny
invaluable.
is people are people, right? So I had a woman come in to me 2 days ago who was 40, 50 pounds overweight, and she swore up and down, no, I know what to do. I know how to get in shape. I've been in shape. I know what to do. I know how to eat and all this stuff. And it's like, well, what the fuck aren't you doing it?
Well, why are you here?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the same thing happens with others. Oh, I know what to do. I know what to do. Then why the fuck aren't you doing it? So do it. And so that, accountability. That's a good one. So having a coach that can help you see, because sometimes you're like, oh man, I don't see the next step in front of me. And when you have that faith that the step will be there and the one after that, and the coach can help you figure out that you need to take that next step and show you that, I tell people I show them the path, but they have to take the journey, right? And so I show a lot of people the path, but not everybody's got the strength and courage to take that journey. So a coach can help you do that. And I need a coach to bitch slap me every once in a while and say, why aren't you doing what you know you need to do? Oh, yeah, I guess we're right. All right. So finding a coach can help you figure out what you need to do. And develop some plan. It doesn't have to be fucking rocket science either. Like I said, just get an opt-in to get email addresses, and if nothing else, email those people. Hey, I saw you downloaded my book. I'd love for you to come in for a free session, and then we could have a chat about what your goals are and how I can help you achieve the body of your dreams or whatever the thing is. Get them in. Great. Better autoresponder that sends them to an LBO page. Get them in front of you again, and then I do better. I do a lot of sales. Been good one-on-one sales. I have actually got a great method for group closing people now that I use to use the group mentality and some NLP stuff and some other tactics so that it makes your time more efficient. If I'm sitting in front of even 5 people, that's 5 people for an hour is better than 5 single-hour consultations too.
Do you? Sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, that was.
I was going to say, do you find doing that group closing like that? Because we deal with this a lot with different studios trying to figure out and what's the best method. Well, in our industry, and yours is pretty similar in regards to FitBody being a higher value service rather than like a $20, $30 a month gym membership. Do you find doing the group training, or excuse me, the group sales approach to be devaluing or harder to manage the perceived value of the group?
No. Actually, it's even easier. For one thing, I like to tell my coaching clients, because I don't know if I mentioned, but I'm the head mastermind coach for Fit Body Bootcamp, and we got, I don't even know, 70, 80 people that are at the higher level that I help them take their business exponentially more and more each month. What the fuck were we talking about?
the group close
right,
versus
okay,
the
sorry,
individual.
The group close. Lost my train of thought there. Okay, so you need to perfect the one-on-one first, so you can kind of see what people's objections are and stuff like that. So once you're cool with that, taking it to the next level, taking the group close, and can actually you preemptively get rid of objections. You show them the value. You can show them that you understand the pain, yet you can recognize the hope, and show them that living what I call the extraordinary life is within their grasp. And what I do at the very end, and so my presentation's generally 30, 45 minutes, depending on how it rolls. And so at the end, I do a lot of value stuff and talk to them about pricing, and I go over their objections. The biggest two objections are time and money, and I kind of give the reasons why those are bullshit. If they, if their health and wellness and happiness are a priority, why those are both bullshit. At the end, I say, and at this point, now you just need to decide: do you want to, you're going to want to continue? So I've either convinced you that you're worth it, or you've convinced yourself you're not. And at that point, they're like, whoa, all right.
That's powerful.
Yeah, it works out great. So it works in a group setting. And I said, now please let me know if you have any questions. And I use some tricks during the group close. If you guys have ever been to Fitness Business Summit, one of the tricks I learned from Bedros was he does a black envelope that has a gold sticker on it that says "Do not open." And so what I do is at my group close. Well, no, by the way, I don't call it a group close. Hey, come on in for a group close. No, that's stupid. So I just call it an orientation or something like that. And so I give everybody the block envelope, and that says "Do not open" on it. And so at the end of presentation, I said, "All right, I've got this amazing offer for you today, and it's today only." So I give it to them at the beginning, and it says "Do not open." And they're wondering the whole time what the hell's in there. So then they open it and see it's all in black and white. Got some nice pictures in there, before and afters. And so you can either take this offer or this offer. Which one would you like? Right. And it works out great. My closing percentage is high 90s.
Nice.
That's literally. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm doing one right now where we do a 2 free week, and they come in for an upsell. And so far I've had like 30 people come in, and one woman said no thanks and didn't even want the 2 free weeks and took off. I was like, okay. So now I'm at 99%. So.
How long does it take to get there to that point? I'm assuming there was a point where you were like a 30% conversion rate or something like that.
Oh, it's funny that you say that. No, I've always been perfect. No, I wish.
As I suspected.
You too?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, one of the things I've been very good at and blessed with is my sales ability. I've been a very good closer. Part of that is learned way back when my grandfather owned a chain of camera stores in the Bay Area, and at age 12, I got a job there selling cameras. And because I was bigger, I looked older, and so I screwed up plenty of sales there and just learned how to interact with people. And then much later in life, when I hooked up with Bedros Keuilian, we went over a sales process that he created. I tweaked and modeled kind of the way I like to do things, and we actually created a product called Close Clients, which has helped a lot of trainers learn how to close sales. And so going from the close clients type of interaction, going to that I then applied to the group setting. From day one, once I applied the same principles just in the group, it worked out great. That said, it just takes practice, because not everybody's going to knock it out of the park. Not everybody has, the natural sales ability, but it's a learned skill that you can, with repetition, you can learn. Some people get nervous talking in front of people. I've got no problem with that.
What do you say to the person who's deathly afraid of sales and has a hard time really asking for the close or really doing anything other than, hey, let me know if you want to sign up?
Either get comfortable being broke, or get over that fucking stupid fear. That's it.
Yeah.
So you're going to be broke, or you're going to get over your fear. Honestly, a great book by Grant Cardone is Sell or Be Sold. Mm-hmm. I recommend, because I talk to owners all the time. I don't like selling people. It's like, well, you gotta. That's it. Mm-hmm. Sell or Be Sold. One of the things that he puts forth is that the sales process is mutually beneficial. Yep. It should be every time, and if it's not, someone's taking advantage and someone's a crook, right? So if you're buying a fitness program from me, your benefit is you're going to be healthier, happier, get the lean body, whatever it is you wanted to. I'm going to get some money in return, which helps me pay my bills, and that's good for me. So good for you, good for me. So it's mutually beneficial. So that's what every sales process should be, and that there should be no reluctance in making that proposition. And you should believe in your product so much, and especially in our fitness industry, believe in it so much that if that person walks away without having purchased, that you should feel bad because you have done them a disservice. Their life is going to be worse because they did not buy your service from you. You have to believe in it that much, whether it's a CrossFit or a boot camp or personal training or whatever it is. That's how intensely you need to believe in your product. And so when you're selling, the great thing about us is when we're selling, we're literally selling health and happiness. Right. It goes together,
it's
right?
So hard not to sell.
When you're healthier and you look in the mirror and you got that confidence and you're happy and all that stuff, it all goes together. So we are fortunate that we're not selling booze or cigarettes or crack, which I assume makes you happy too. I don't know.
Just for a little bit.
It's really good for a little while and then really bad.
Gets ugly quick.
But we're fortunate to literally sell that. You'd think, oh, I'm going to make you healthy and happier than you've ever been. You think people will be throwing money at us. They're not. So we need to convince them to make a good decision. And you could do that with different persuasion techniques and influence and things like that literally influence them to make a good decision.
Right. So say you're trying to close 30 people. I've seen people do this before where they do believe in what they're selling and they are excited about it and they're somewhat motivational. The people in the crowd are like, they're ready to sign up. But then at the end, they do some type of weak close, or they just don't lead the interaction at the end very well where, maybe they say, well, so if you're interested, come talk to me. And then, there's 30 people, say half of them would sign up if they were led correctly.
Yeah.
But the one person that comes up and talks to me, now I'm talking to one person. There's a few people kind of waiting on the periphery, and then some other people over here kind of meandering because they know they don't want to butt themselves in.
Right.
That person takes one person into the office to fill out the paperwork, and everyone else is kind of like, oh, I guess he's busy, and they all just leave. How do you manage a situation like that? You don't put yourself in there in the first place, I'm assuming, but what would you do?
You got to have a staff. You got to have helpers. So whether you actually have trainers that can help you out or an admin staff, if you don't, then use friends. Use current clients. Say, hey, can you, and if you've helped your current clients, they'll come and help you out. I literally have my clients, you doing orientation this weekend? I'd be happy to help. And that's great because actually part of my things that I do in my presentation is I have 2 to 3 clients tell 2 minutes of their testimony. I've got their before and after up on the screen, and I say 2 to 3 minutes, tell me how you've done that. So
in person.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Preferably. Yeah, preferably in person. I have a little formula that I wish I could remember who did it. It was like, what was your life like before? Why were you apprehensive about signing up with me? What results did you achieve? And what is your life like now? And so that's basic formula, and they can knock that out. I don't want it to be too long, but 2-3 minutes is plenty. They show the pictures, and ultimately they need to end with, and that's why joining Fit Body Bootcamp has been the best decision I've ever made. And then people are like, oh, wow, okay, great. Yeah. And anyway, those people help me because when I do a big orientation for one of my 6-week transformation things, I weigh people in. We do a body fat test just using an Omron. I know it's not the best thing. Some measurements, and I actually have a photographer that comes in. We hang a big black sheet so that people have some privacy, so that they take the before pictures, and then I do this presentation. So there's a process, and so I have helpers literally that are all current clients, and then my trainers as well. So who asked the question? Was it? It was you about me. So about what would I do? So that's why I say if you have any questions, I'm going to be here. But for those of you who know this is the right opportunity and you're tired of wasting your time and putting things off and want to have the body and health of your dreams right now, go right over here, hand off your form, and I do goodie bags and stuff. So grab your goodie bag, and I'm going to see you tomorrow morning.
So they have all the forms filled out as a part of the black envelope,
So again, the way I do it is they come in, they have to fill out a waiver first, then they get weighed and measured, and we take it all down. And so they have a clipboard, they have a pen, and the last piece is the black envelope. They open it up, the agreement's in there. Just sign the agreement, 30-day money back guarantee type of thing.
They're already filling things out.
Gotcha. Yeah, they've already filled. And I've already done some reciprocity stuff. I give them out either water, literally just water bottles. What does that cost you? 15, 20 cents from a Costco. Here, it's hot. Here's the water. We do those little rubber wristbands. So there's already reciprocity that's already happened. And then we do a bigger one at the end. When you sign up, you get this gift bag, and we've got all this stuff in it.
So you do pictures before you give them the contract.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. So they've already, it's that micro continuity, right? They've already okay, yes. Occasionally got the person who's like, I'm not taking pictures. I was like, okay, well, maybe this isn't the right time or right opportunity for you, and I understand, but when you decide to come back, we'll be here for you. But that's pretty rare. And generally speaking, when we do the confirmation process, which honestly is one of the hardest things, is making sure people who say they're going to come are going to come. So we hammer them, make sure it's tomorrow. Okay, great. But they do the process, show them all the before and afters, show them how their lives can change. I do a lot of imagery stuff. I have them close their eyes and say, now picture yourself 6 weeks from now, 20 pounds lighter and walking on the beach. And now you don't have to hide your body. Now the jeans zip up and you get in that little black dress and all this other stuff, and create that imagery in their head. So they start telling them. One of the big things I like to do in both copywriting and these group closes is either create a story that they can continue in their head, or enter the story in their head that is, about how awesome their life is going to be once they take this initial step. And so then, like I said, the steps are being taken, and now it's just this last step of filling out the last bit of paperwork, and we're done, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.
Nice.
Yeah, it seems like the testimonials are something that you guys use that work very well for you. Even on the wall behind us, there's 20 testimonials, and just before and after, and then it says, lost 75 pounds.
Yeah.
Nick, it's super simple. You don't get lost in a big story. It's just, before, after, how much weight they lost, their name, boom, simple.
Well, it's about identification and understanding. It's like, and we want to have a lot of them if we can, right? Because if I look and go, I look like that guy's before. well, that means I can look like that guy's after. And so you want to have a lot of them so that everybody in the audience or that's reading your webpage or whatever it is can go, oh, I look like that. That means I can also look like this, because if they did it, I can do it. So it's that testimonial social proof thing that, okay, this has worked for others. I use a lot of who wants to be next, because that implies that somebody's done it before, and that means somebody will do it next. So I use that line a lot, and just use a lot of before and afters. And I got to say, people steal my before and afters all the time. It's kind of funny. I literally see my wife has a pretty good one, and it's been used on so many different.
People are just ripping it off. And
oh yeah, they
websites.
just literally cut and paste it and put it on their website.
Oh, I never thought about that.
Never even occurred to me.
Next week.
So
We're not shady.
So here's what you can do is you just within Google Chrome you can right click and say search Google for this image, and it'll just call up and it'll show every website where it appears, and it's like and I got a lot of websites, but it's like, son of a bitch, that one is not my website.
Oh yeah.
So I have a question for you. So what had you've been in the business 20 years, what had you open a Fit Body boot camp?
I opened it on day one. Yeah.
When they first started?
Yeah, me and Bedros were already partners in some other stuff, and he was like, hey, you want to get in on this thing? I'm like, well, yeah. Because, I'm just being honest, that guy, he's got a lot of great ideas, and so the earlier you can get on board, the better off you're going to be. So
Yeah, he's a sharp dude. We interviewed him a few weeks back.
I really
4
enjoyed
weeks
it,
back.
yeah.
Really
he knows what he's talking about. He likes to play up the fact that he's just a dumb guy who did real well in business. That is not the case. He might be uneducated formally, but the guy's clearly brilliant.
He's very sharp. Yeah.
Yeah. So whatever he thinks is a good idea, I'm gonna jump on, because I've been with him long enough to go. He's given me some advice, thinking, he's full of shit. He doesn't know what he's talking about, and then I don't do it. I'm like, oops. Guess I probably should have listened the first time. So this is one I jumped on early.
So did you start a separate studio from the one that you already had, or did you do it within?
I kind of integrated, and as time went on, I integrated and separated. So currently, because I had my Carter Fitness brand had been around for 10-ish years at that point, and I didn't just want to dissolve it. So ultimately what I ended up doing is I split my facility into two. So as it happened, it just worked out that the space next to mine was open, so I leased that space as well. So I have half of my gym is a Fit Body boot camp where we run our boot camps and things like that. My other half is strength training and personal training, which is my Carter Fitness brand.
How was that? How did that affect the business, like financially and?
It just improved it. I mean, I just made more money, which is great. And it's integrated, because what we do is if people choose to do the personal training, we say you can come to boot camp for free, and they get in there. But I don't even promote to being honest, I don't promote my personal training or my strength training. I just promote Fit Body Boot Camp, and sometimes people will decide to venture over to what we call the dark side and do the
Dark side.
Personally, for me, training, I like lifting, I like deadlifts, and
Well, most people, want to do the boot camp stuff.
Yeah,
And then it's the small percentage that actually want to do the hardcore training.
Yeah, so I don't even bother marketing for that stuff. I either just get interest organically, or they come over from boot camp, which is fine as well.
I think that's something that happens in the CrossFit space quite a bit. Not as much as it used to.
Yeah.
Especially in the beginning. I know we made the mistake of trying to market something that was almost too hardcore.
Yeah.
It's like, you're marketing the 15 people that live in that city right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you have to realize that there's a market that's got tons of people who want to get results.
Yeah. So it's again goes back to, you got to know your audience and know what they want, and there's got to be enough of them.
So you don't market to the boot camp audience about the higher value stuff?
Nope. I don't need to.
It's next door.
Yeah. It is literally, what's going on over there? Well, if you want, it's more expensive. It's, we do $197 a month for our boot camp and our strength training, because it's only 4 or 5 people in it. It's $350 depending. So it's a little bit more.
Nice.
But it's worked out. It's worked out pretty well.
So overseeing the marketing rather for all 500 franchises, the technically franchises?
Yeah.
So for all 500 franchises, having your finger on the pulse, owning a single franchise, you feel like there's a lot of crossover there, where being in the weeds, so to speak, at a single location helps with the big picture?
It does, because I have my own testing ground. So I will run an email campaign and make sure it works before I hand it off, because not everything I do works. Sometimes it falls flat. So those ones we don't talk about.
Nature of business.
I don't hand those out, and I don't mention them. But thankfully it's worked out pretty well, where I've had more hits than misses of late. And so so it's my own little private laboratory where I can test out group closing. I test funnels all the time, and see what works and what doesn't, because I don't want to hand out something that doesn't work. So I want to make sure to make it as easy for me. Being the marketing guy, I want it as cut and paste as possible. It's like, like do this, this, and this, and people will come in your doors, and that's it.
Right.
You know, ultimately for FitBody, what we'd like to do is make it so the only things that the owners have to do is do the initial sale and then train them. That's it.
Yeah, that'd be
You know?
really nice.
Yeah, so we want to get the people in the door via the funnels and provide the email addresses and all that, you know, all that stuff, all the marketing stuff. We want it to be as done for you as possible, so that when clients walk in the door, they just, you know, convert them and
Nice.
train them. That's it.
Yeah.
So outside of business specifically, like you have your hands in a lot of different pies. Like
Yeah.
you're very busy.
Yeah.
You got a family life too, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and I don't say unfortunately.
You don't say
That- that-
unfortunately.
come
Oh, that almost came
You
out.
caught yourself.
What I mean is my kids are a pain in the ass, but I wouldn't have it any other way. They're great. I got an 11-year-old and a 14-year-old, both boys. They train with me 3-4 times a week. We actually deadlifted all this morning.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I got them. It's summertime, so we're all lifting.
Right on. That's actually where this question was leading. Was
Yeah, yeah.
how do you fit in your training with that much going on?
Okay, so the way it works with my training, this is kind of a fun story. There's a guy who trains with me named Norm, and he came to me 14 and a half years ago. And he walked in. He was near 300 pounds. He told me that he just quit smoking 3 packs a day. And at the time, you know, this again 15 years ago, I was pretty much just taking checks. I guess I probably was taking credit cards too, but most of the personal training I was doing was just checks. And so he wrote me a check for, I don't remember what it was, a month or 6 weeks of worth of training at the time. And I remember thinking to myself, I hope this check clears because this dude is never coming back. And, you know, because when you see a 300-pound guy who said, "Oh, I just quit smoking 3 packs a day," you're like, "Yeah,
Odds are not in
that's
his
going to
favor.
stick." Okay. But he did, and what's funny about that is that day I met him was literally my first day back at the gym after my first son was born. So it was 7 days after my son was born, and he started with me, and he's still with me, and we train 4 times a week.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's not my client anymore. We gave that up long ago, and now he's my training partner. And now he trains with my son. So now my 14 and a half year old son trains with us 4 times a week in deadlifts, and my 11-year-old's getting into it now too. And
Nice.
yeah, it's kind of fun to see. You see them go, "Oh God, I make that mistake too." You know, it's a lot of fun. So the 4 of us have been working out a lot during the summer.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did that answer the question?
I was asking how you find time to fit in your workouts.
Oh, okay.
Very cool. You still train, but
Yeah.
given all the things you have going on, like how do you fit it in and not feel like you're leaving money on the table, or
It's,
you're
you
not
know-
building the best systems you could, or you're not doing the best by your staff, or they're wondering why you're out there playing while they're all working hard. Like all
Yeah.
these things happen.
Yeah, it's an appointment I keep with myself, and there's not many things I would prioritize above my workout because it's like my sanity time. And if I don't work out, I'm a raging asshole. No, I'm not that bad, but I need it as my sanity time, and so that's an appointment that I don't miss, whether I'm traveling or whatever. One of my mantras is my goals don't take days off. So I got you know, a year and some ago, I got a little bit about 30, 40 pounds heavier than I am right now, just a little heavier, and I said, all right, this is bullshit. I can't control everything in my life. I just can't. But guess what? I can control what I eat and how often I work out, for the most part, right? And so I decided to control those things. And so I've just made it a priority. So even though my goals don't take days off, but I do, because that is part of my plan, is actually taking a day off. But I've just made it a priority that I just don't miss it. I just don't.
Yeah.
Like today, for instance, I knew I was coming here, so I had to rework my schedule to get my workout in. I knew I'd be back too late. Well, it would if I worked out in the evening because my gym is full with other clients, it would have caused conflict. So I made sure that I organized it so I could go in when my clients weren't there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where can people find out more about what you're up to?
They can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Carter Fitness is my fan page. Carter Fitness is my Instagram. I don't do a whole lot on Snapchat, but guess what? It's called Carter Fitness. And
I see what you're doing there.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's about it. And if anybody has any questions for me, you know, my name is Joshua Carter on Facebook, so they can private message me. That's just fine with anything really. I don't care. I'll talk about whatever.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, man,
Really
it's
appreciate
been
it.
great. Thank you,
So
gentlemen.
good.
Yeah.
For having me.
You bet. That was fun, Josh.
All right.
Thanks, dude.
Yep.